Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 21.
Congratulations, you showed up. Give yourself a high five in celebration of your success. Welcome to the Cashflow Diary, where new and experienced investors come to take confident action towards their goals. Your host is a family man, a real estate entrepreneur, investor, coach, and instructor. As a master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's Cashflow 101 game, he's inspired many to begin their journey into creating cash flow for themselves and their family. And now, here he is to offer you the tools required to earn the income desired. Your cash flow coach, Jay Massey.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CashflowDiary.com podcast today. I have a special guest that I know you're waiting to hear. But first, I want to remind you that at the CashflowDiary.com, one of the most important things to remember is the words cash flow. Just because you hear me talk about all the time how rental property is like the ultimate form of cash flow, that doesn't mean that it's the only form of cash flow. So I've got with me today an individual who has taken what normally is just a quick turn type of real estate transaction and turned it into a business that produces cash flow. See, anything is scalable, and with scale you could take even a lemonade stand and turn it into cash flow, and that's what's most important. So your journey may mimic his, it may be exactly like his, it may be like mine, it doesn't really matter. Here's the point: I know this, that from his story and his information that he's going to share with you today, you're going to learn something that will allow you to increase your cash flow, increase your financial intelligence, and definitely become a bigger, better investor. So what I want you to do is that I want you to make sure that this time, that I know sometimes when you're listening to me, you're probably washing the dishes or kicking the kids away or jogging on the treadmill, something like that. I want your undivided attention because you need to hear what he has to say, because he's been doing this business in such a way that will likely give you exactly what you're looking for to get started. So listen and learn as we together interview Mr. Matt Andrews. Matt, are you there?
I'm here. Glad to be here.
Glad that you are here. In fact, I know that I'm excited. I know many people have probably have heard of you many, many times. You being out there, having done this for, dare I say, decades, right? Or at least you've got decades worth of experience. The question on everybody's mind right now is, who is Matt Andrews? And could you tell us a little bit about how you got started?
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you for that great introduction. It's a pleasure to be here, and I love everything you do with the Cash Flow Diary, and just a great fan of everything you're doing too. So appreciate that. So yeah, we started out. I run my business with my wife, Lindsay. I started in real estate investing in 2000, so I've been an investor full time for about 13 or 14 years now. Started, being starting back then. I've actually seen a lot in real estate ups and downs, obviously, from 2000 to 2013. It's been really interesting, but in every single situation, whether people thought it was good or bad, there were always unique opportunities. And I've really enjoyed over the last 13, 14 years just figuring out what the opportunity is. When people say it's a horrible market, I know it's a great opportunity, so where's the opportunity? When people say it's a great market, there's probably some great opportunities, and I look for them there too. So I've really enjoyed doing that over the last few years. Starting out in 2000, I was primarily buying properties from distressed owners. I started out like a lot of beginning real estate investors. I put out bandit signs out on the streets, I'll buy your house today, those types of signs to attract distressed sellers to call me. So really grassroots. I had very little money, and so I was just out there with a lot of grunt labor, putting out the signs myself in the middle of the night, all that kind of stuff. Did some ads in the papers, brought in leads for distressed sellers, and then I would negotiate, buy those properties, and then fix them up and sell those properties to a retail buyer for a profit. So it was really a find, fix, and flip method that I used from about 2000 to 2006, 2007. So fast forward to then, I flipped quite a few properties, put a few rentals away on the way, and now the market in 2007 is dropping out, and suddenly there's foreclosures everywhere. Everybody remembers this. Tough market. There's, everybody's defaulting. It seemed like I don't know what it was like where you are, Jay, but where I was in Florida, especially, we'd overbuilt so much, and it seemed like everyone I knew owned like three houses and had no business owning three houses, and that's what was going on, And then suddenly, boom! It just mid to late 2007. I think it was in November of 2007. It just turned upside down. Um, and I had done a little bit of what we call wholesaling, and I know you teach your students some wholesale methods, Jay.
Yes.
And I started dabbling in that a little bit in 2004, 2005, 2006, where I would maybe buy a bank owned property or a distressed property and flip it over to another investor just for a quick flip with a small margin. So I started doing that a little bit, but in 2007, suddenly the opportunities, and where I was in Florida in particular, the opportunities were just everywhere, and there were very few people that were kind of here on the ground and ready to take advantage of it. So between 2007 and 2011, probably we wholesaled hundreds of properties and really turned our business mostly towards that side of things. Now, out of that came a whole different opportunity. So we had already done the fix, flip, and rehab. We really started doing a lot of wholesaling, but then we started getting contacted from a lot of different international investors and out-of-state investors, people that had no intention of buying, and living close to these properties. They wanted to buy them, but didn't want to see them, didn't want to mess with them, and wanted them really turnkey, almost like a mutual fund approach to investing, where it was just completely hands off. They buy into it and makes them money. So we started creating at that point turnkey packages of properties. So the same properties that I would maybe buy to fix up and flip, or would buy to wholesale to other investors, I would now buy those myself, fix them up, put a renter into them, stabilize those properties, and then I could package those up in packages of 5 or 10 or 15 single family homes and sell those to international investors already producing rental returns. So it was really
Nice.
perfect for those types of investors. Local management, in whatever market that it was that I bought those in, that would take care of them. So really, it was just a point of getting the cash in and changing the titles over to that new owner. They didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to worry about the tenants. They didn't have to worry about maintenance, and it was totally turnkey. So that's kind of the third piece that me and my wife added in the last 4 or 5 years, really 3 or 4 years, more aggressively, because that's been a great market too. So between those three things, we keep pretty busy, and it's awesome. I think it's the market, like I said, has been bad in a lot of people's eyes, and I've just like you, have taken advantage of these times where there's so much opportunity, and people just many times are afraid to try, or just sticking their head in the sand, or just believing what the media is telling them, whatever it is. I love times like this because it's just ripe with opportunity if you're working with the right people and you know where to look. So
Absolutely,
that's
absolutely. One
basically
of the
what got
things that
us.
I want to make sure everyone caught is that I love how you say, a bad market, and I'm always reminding individuals that there's no such thing as a bad market or a good market. It's just the market, and the only thing that changes is that the market is giving you different signals that tell you what you do. Your techniques have to change based upon the market conditions, and many people who are already familiar with my story, etc., know that the only market I've known has been the market since 2008. I don't know
Mm.
any other real estate market as an investor. It's like, all I know is the chaos. And you've heard me say many, many times, where there's chaos, there's cash flow. And he's saying the exact same thing. I mean,
Mm.
he's been through this from 2000 all the way through to today. And that's literally a lot of experience internationally, nationally, etc. And what would you say, Matt? Sometimes I get the question of, will this technique, specifically when we're talking about wholesaling, will this work here? And occasionally here could be, for me, for those of you who have been listening, while I was recently in Chicago and then in Sacramento teaching, etc. And I get that question no matter where I am: is will this work here? I'm in
Right.
California and it seems to work here. How about Florida, Matt? Is
It
there?
definitely it definitely works in Florida. Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people have figured that out now too.
No doubt,
Yeah.
no doubt, because your average price is a little different than our average price, and And it's pretty funny how similar you and I have been, because I did most of my wholesaling in a state that I don't live in.
Right.
So I was the wholesaler in California, but selling in other states.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, it works beautifully because we came from the same place of packaging them up and selling them. That is an uber great way, and it solves so many problems. That's what I love. So let
Absolutely.
me let me ask this, Matt. Tell us a little bit about the Matt before real estate. Who was
Mm-hmm.
he? How did you become Mister Real Estate Freedom? How does that
Yeah.
happen?
Sure. Sure. So, I mean, I went to college, and studied psychology actually, and I thought I was going to be a child psychologist. I thought that was going to be what I wanted to do all through
Well, you still
college.
work with investors, right?
What's that?
Yes, working with investors could be a
Actually,
little bit
yeah,
like the
I'll
child
tie that in.
psychologist.
Yeah, I'm more of a psychologist than I ever thought I probably would be. Actually, so yeah, no, it's totally true. So I got a degree in psychology. I worked all through school, and a little bit after college, I worked with autistic children and their families, and I helped them set up behavior training programs and implementation strategies for their children that live there with them, severely autistic and developmentally disabled kids. And I love that, and I still love that. I think it's one of the greatest things I've ever done. I love working with kids. I love working with special needs children. I think it's just a unique, rewarding experience. The problem with that, and anybody who has ever worked in that field can attest to, is that as important as it is, and as rewarding as it is in some ways, you make absolutely no money.
Wow. Yeah.
None whatsoever. It's so needed and it's so necessary, but the people and even the best of them make very little money unless you're kind of running, unless you're like a psychiatrist running a successful practice. But then you're not really hands on working with those kids in a lot of ways. So I found out pretty quickly I needed to go in business to do the things I wanted to do and achieve my goals so that I could come back and maybe work with children and families and different things like that when money didn't matter anymore, and it wasn't to make a living, but just because I like to do it. So that was what I studied all through school. That's what I thought I was going to do. Got out of school, did okay in school, but wasn't great. Wasn't much of an academic, but I did know how to get things done. I wasn't afraid to try things and to push a process through. So I got through school, decent grades. Went to work eventually for a Fortune 500 company. Got put on the fast track. Did the whole corporate sales thing. Was traveling the entire state of Florida doing outside sales for a big corporate car company, and had a lot of success there. And started studying real estate while I was working that job. And really, my story is probably pretty familiar to a lot of people that were working a job that had some good potential and that actually had a lot of good perks, but they looked 20 years down the road at that same job at where it would really take them and didn't really like what they saw. And that's where I was. I was the kind of the new kid on the block there. I had some pretty reasonably quick success in that area. But I looked at my counterparts, the same guys that were me 20 years earlier, and I looked at where they were. And even though some of them were making good money and had some of the traditional rewards, they really just didn't have much of a life. And a lot of these guys were just ridden by the company and kind of broken down and had a family but never saw them. And just a lot of the things like you and I had talked about before, Jay, when we spoke another time. You said, I've got to be able to spend time with my family, and this has got to come first. So that's basically where I was after I got out of school. Worked that job for a couple of years, had success, but was studying real estate. I flipped my first property, did my first buy, fix up, and sale when I was still working that job, and I made not a lot of money on that flip, but it was enough that it instilled the belief in me that, you know what, I can do this again and again. By the second flip, I quit that job and basically never looked back. So, for the last
Nice.
decade and a half, you said decades before, like I'm super old or something. No, it's decade and a half, man. But decade and a half, almost, not even.
Right, right.
But
That no, that's
for the last
awesome.
few years, we've had a lot of success doing that and haven't looked back. And now, our focus is to continue to grow our rental holdings, continue to flip properties, continue to educate people and teach them how to do the same thing. But really, we spend a lot of our energy and a lot of our focus now on a couple of charities that we're involved with, and one in particular where we have wheelchairs manufactured overseas, and then we have them shipped, sent, and we take a team down and deliver them to people in third world countries, most recently Jamaica. So a lot of the things we do now are things that are freedom, type things that we've been able to free ourselves up to do, things we have always wanted to do but couldn't, but now are doing because of the success we've had in real estate. And we love that. We love to travel, we love to help people, and we like to run our business, from anywhere in the world. And that's always been our dream, and that's what we're doing now.
That's awesome. That's excellent. And I don't want anyone to miss something that he said. He said it so quickly, you may not have heard it. If you heard him very clearly, he said he didn't earn a lot of money on that first deal. And so, Matt, I'm going to ask you this question because people get hung up on this all the time.
Yeah.
I say that when you're doing your first transaction, I don't care if you make any money.
Right.
You're doing it for the experience. You do your first deals for experience, not profit. Sometimes people have trouble with that. Could you just elaborate a little on why that's so important?
Sure. Yeah, I'll tell you real quick how that deal went down. It was a good deal, and if I had that same deal today, it'd be a very profitable deal. Knowing what I know now,
Right.
but I did absolutely everything wrong. I was lucky to make any money, to be positive at all, on that first property. I, did a lot of rookie mistakes. I did a lot of the work myself, which, you may not know this, but I'm not a handyman in any way. In fact, I'm an atrocious handyman.
Me
My
too.
my wife is better than I am. She won't even let me use the screwdriver sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can. My wife. When we go to if we go to a furniture store like IKEA or something, I will spend the money for assembly, and she's like, "No, I'll put it together." And if she doesn't put it together, it doesn't get put together.
Yeah. Okay. So you know your strengths, and that's a good thing, right? So I'm
Absolutely.
the same way. Yep. So definitely not a handyman, but I tried to do a lot of work myself on that first one. I did the worst thing in the world, which if you're out there right now, people, and you're thinking about doing this, take my advice. Don't do this. Don't let your friends help you rehab a property. All right. All right. Don't let them do it. You're just going to end up having 3-hour lunches, and you're not really going to do anything because they're your friends, not workers. Okay. Don't do it. I did that, and just made a lot of silly mistakes, and basically turned what should have been a 30 grand profit into about a $2,000 profit. So that's,
Nice.
by making every single mistake that I could possibly make at every phase in the game. And I won't even, I'll spare you the horrible details, but just everything wrong, redoing stuff, everything. So I made $2,000. Was really lucky to make $2,000 and to not have lost five or $10,000 because I just didn't know what I was doing. But just like you said, and the point you made right before this is that what I learned, even if I made nothing on it on that deal, what I learned was basically uh, knowledge that I took that have made me hundreds of thousands of dollars since then.
Ex-
Just that exact knowledge and knowing that and doing that wrong the first time, it just totally taught me. And every single property after that got a little bit better. Actually, that second one got a lot better because you couldn't have gotten any worse than I was in that first one. So the second one got a lot better. I made a big jump and then just got incrementally better with each one. And then those 30 grand profits became real 30 grand profits. And that's a great point, to make is that many times, a deal that doesn't yield hardly anything, you're getting your worth in experience on that deal. And like Jay and I are both very fond of saying, taking action, even if you make mistakes, write that offer, even if it's, you don't know if you're going to get the deal, just get something done. And so that's what I did in the beginning there. Didn't know that I wasn't supposed to be able to do very well and didn't do that well, but I didn't care. And I was 22 or whatever I was and couldn't care less and thought I was,
right.
thought I owned the world, and so went out there and did it. And I felt really self-empowered when I did close that deal. Even though walked into that title company and got $2,000, and even though I knew I should have had a lot more than that, I wasn't thinking about that then. What I was thinking about was, hey, you know what? I'm going and getting my first check, and I am a real estate investor now. I've done
Right.
this. I did my first deal, and I walked out of that title company thinking I was big stuff. Now they were that title company. That's probably the smallest check that title company wrote all week. But for me, I was. I mean, I thought I had just lassoed the moon, and that just invigorated me to do the next one and do the next one and do the next one. And like I said, it got better and better as I went on, and now we've got a pretty good process, and now it's just fun. Now we just
Excellent.
have fun with it, work with people we like, do deals that we find interesting and exciting for us, and that's the dream.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking with Matt Andrews, and I'm hoping that you are enjoying what he has to share with us. Now, we're going to take a small break from the interview, and we're going to go over to our cash flow question for the week. So make sure that you have your pen and paper ready to send in your answer so that so that we know that you're out there increasing your financial intelligence. Give us a small second. We will be right back. Hello, everyone. Glad that you are listening to the interview with Mr. Matt Andrews. We will get you right back to that. Just want to make sure that we have an opportunity to give away our book for the week. Now, remember, for those of you answering the cash flow question, you have two ways to send in your answer. The first is by sending us an email at cashflowquestion@cashflowdiary.com, or you can now call in on our new toll-free number at 800-689-1764 to give us the answer for the cash flow question. Whichever is easier for you is fine by us. Last week's question was, for those of you that were listening, it was, what period of time is ROI usually measured over? So what period of time is return on investment usually measured over? The correct answer did come to us, and we're very excited for that. The correct answer is, of course, 12 months, and it came to us all the way from Germany. That's right. Eric, so that means the book is on its way to you. And for those of you wondering, we are in the pre release stage. We're about to release my first book about cash flow creation. And basically, it's entitled J. Massey's Cash Flow Creation System. 10 steps that you could use to create wealth in any economy. And here's what's important. Inside that book, I'm going to go through my entire business model, everything that I've done and been through in order for you to duplicate exactly that, so that if you one day want to own hundreds of units across multiple states in the US, you'll know exactly what I did to be able to make that happen. And so let's get over to this week's question. Remember, you can send in your answer for a signed autograph copy. So once it is released, you will get it. So when you send in your answer, make sure that you leave an address because it's kind of hard to send you a book without an address. So this week's question is, when investing, at what point do you actually earn your money? I repeat, when investing, at what point do you earn your money? So that being said, don't want to delay too much longer, but again, send in your answers to cashflowquestion@cashflowdiary.com, or you can give us a call over at 800-689-1764. Let's get you back to the interview with Mr. Matt Andrews. Welcome back. Hopefully you got the question right from last week. You heard this week's question. Looking forward to seeing your answers. Feel free to send in your answers to cashflowquestions@cashflowdiary.com. Looking forward to seeing who out there is interested in increasing their financial IQ. On the podcast with me today is Mr. Matt Andrews. You have been hearing his story previously. Now he's got some information for you that I know you're asking and dying to find out. Some of you often ask us, how do you find property? What is the secret? Where's the secret sauce? And what's the magic to make this whole thing happen? And I hear that, Matt has a little bit of magic to share. So I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to hear it from him so that you know not only what the magic sauce is, but how to go get your own little bit of magic sauce for yourself so that you can continue to grow your real estate business. So Matt, could you answer the magic question for us today and just Tell us, how do you make all this happen? What secrets have you learned doing real estate that allows you to be so successful across so many state lines and international borders?
So yeah, Jay, like you mentioned, we work with a lot of international investors, a lot of investors out of our area, and the biggest thing that has played into us being able to reach those buyers is internet marketing. That's the way they've been able to find us. Now, I say internet marketing, that could mean a million different things, right? That could mean everything from social media to pay-per-click advertising to Google AdWords and just all different types of things. So what I want to talk about today is after really boiling down what works and where our customers have come from and where we found our distressed owner deals and that type of thing, how they found us have boiled down to a couple different things. One is social media, so some good Facebook, LinkedIn, and even some Twitter effective strategies there. The other thing that's been really good for us, and after a lot of testing, has really helped us get a lot of leads that have come in, is YouTube and how to use video marketing effectively for real estate investors. So you asked me before we got on this podcast to share a tip that they could really apply right away. So I thought this is probably the most applicable thing that I could share with you guys. I'll do it really quick, but I'll give you my website too, which will probably have some more info about this and some other strategies we use. So if you want to dig more into it, you can. But for the sake of simplicity, basically, I'm going to teach you what I call the YouTube Google hack. Okay? It's how you
Oh, they're
use,
interested. I'm
yeah,
interested.
YouTube Google hack. This is how you use a video and put it on YouTube and then use that YouTube video to rank on Google for a particular search term that you want to rank for, right? So let me give you an example of this. If you were to type in Tampa real estate investment on Google, okay, you're going to see me and my wife, and we pretty much own that search term in Google. Okay, now how do we pop up? Is it the traditional way where a company pays thousands of dollars to SEO their website, and over a course of years they finally get ranked on Google? That is one way to do it. Okay, but that's the hard, slow, and expensive way to do it. The way that we do it, since we're talking about local searches, is we create videos that have to do with our investment business. So they could be anything from we buy house ads to showing how we rehab properties to videos where we're talking directly to the camera, marketing to prospective buyers or whatever it is. We've even done some like reality show type promo type things. What's on the video is not as important as what you do with it. So you put that video up on YouTube, and you're going to title that video with the words that you would want to come up in a search for. So for me, I wanted to come up in Tampa real estate investment or Tampa investment properties, the terms that would bring me buyers, someone who was looking for Tampa investment properties, right? So I title my video that exact keyword term. So my video title would be something like Tampa real estate investment, Matt Andrews, wholesale properties, or something like that. But I would have that exact term that I want to rank for in that title. Then you go down when you're putting your video up on YouTube, you can put in a description. In that description, the first thing you want to put in that description is your website address as a hyperlink. Whatever your main website is for whatever you're selling, whether it's We Buy Houses or whether it's We Have Houses to Sell or whatever it is, you want to put your website address in that description along with a description of what your video is about. After that, you put in tags. I know I'm going fast, but I want to get you this information. You put in what's called tags, and those tags are other keywords that you want associated with your video. So if you're in Tampa and you're ranking for Tampa real estate investment, then you do things like Tampa wholesale properties, Tampa real estate investor, investment properties Tampa, wholesale properties Tampa, rental properties Tampa, any kinds of terms that you would want your video tied to that somebody might search for to find you. Okay? You upload that video to YouTube. Now, here's the key, and this is what most people don't know, and this is what's pretty ninja about this whole little trick.
Okay, bring it.
Google owns YouTube. Okay? So Google considers YouTube what they call an authority domain. So being an authority domain means that Google will rank you faster if you're an authority domain than if you're not. So if I just put up a website today, and let's just say I just put it up, and I put up all kinds of stuff on that website, Google knows about that website now. That's going to register with Google, but Google's not going to put me on the front page of Google for the things that I'm trying to get on the front page for, because Google doesn't know who I am. Google doesn't know what that website is. Google doesn't know if it's a spam website. They don't know if it's legit or not, or they don't know what it is. But they know YouTube is legit because it's theirs, right? They know YouTube is legit because it's the authority on videos online, right? And they own it. So by using YouTube and titling your videos correctly, you can actually rank fairly quickly for certain terms that would be helpful to your business on Google. So when you go on and see Tampa real estate investment and Google that, and you see a lot of videos that have come up that point to my different websites, that's because I've taken the time to get those videos ranked on Google. Now, here's the thing. You can do that anywhere you want to. I just taught a friend of mine who lives in a market up in Michigan. It's a fairly small town. I showed him, here's how you make a video, and you can get somebody to make it for you, or you can make it yourself, and here's how you want to title it. And he ranked on the front page of Google within 3 days, which that's not totally typical, but that's incredible. Even in larger markets, if you do this, you can get some kind of ranking in the first couple pages within a few weeks at least, if you do it the right way. So that's just one way that you can actually get your business ranked on Google, which usually costs thousands of dollars for a very, very little bit of money. How does that play into your business? Well, most of the international investors that find me, like the guy that I just sold to recently in Australia that wanted to buy 5 properties, what did he type in? He heard that Tampa was a hot market. He read about it in some blog that he was reading, so he typed in Tampa real estate investment. Who's the first person that pops out? It's me. So who does he call? He calls me, and then I become his contact in Tampa, and then he bought a nice little package of properties from me. He would have never found me if I hadn't put up a silly little video on YouTube and just titled it the right way. I could have spent hundreds or thousands of dollars on pay-per-click ads and still not found that same guy who just found me almost for free. So
That
that's the ninja tip that I wanted to share with you. Does that make sense?
Oh, that is so amazing, and just to let everyone know that's listening right now, wow, you all know that I talk about moving at the speed of instruction. Clearly, I'm learning as I meet new people, and that's one of the greatest things that you've heard me say all the time. You can't learn and look good at the same time. So I'm learning right now as we're interviewing. And I just typed in, Tampa real estate investment just to make sure. And the first one that comes up is, of course, none other than our guest, Mr. Matt Andrews. So I am going to be drafting an email to my team right now to make sure that all of our videos, because we've got about 5 hours worth of videos right now on YouTube that clearly are not done this way, but we're going to get them all fixed up right now. So that is an incredible tip. And understand one of the secrets. Think about this, guys. Many companies right now spend millions and billions of dollars, if you will, just to get in front of the right person. I mean, you've heard they always talk about how much 30 seconds costs for the Super Bowl or NBA Finals or all this other stuff. He just gave you an idea that costs little, if anything. It actually costs time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that you and I have. We have the ability to move nimbly. We have the ability to use our time more wisely, and therefore can get in front of the right people. And this is what's great. You and I, we don't need 10,000 transactions to break even. What would 5 real estate transactions mean for you and your business right now? This is why information from individuals like Matt make so much sense. So Matt, can you give us okay, you got us excited now. So tell us how we can get a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. Well, you can definitely find me at my website. My main website is www.refreedom.com. So it's RE as in real estate, refreedom.com. And on there, you'll see links to my podcast. Our blog is there. There's a lot of information that has to do with using internet marketing for real estate investors there, because that's a lot of what we do. So you'll find some of that info there. If you want to know more about the concept I just told you, which is basically using that YouTube Google hack, and the best way to do that, it works with Facebook fan pages too, by the way, because that's Facebook is an authority site as well. Even though it's not owned by Google, it's considered an authority site. So you'll see some of my rankings are also from Facebook fan pages. So I've got a series of books. They're all fairly inexpensive, like 99 cents on Amazon. If you look me up, Matt Andrews Real Estate Investor's Guide, you can find all those books there. There's one on how to use these methods for Facebook, there's one for LinkedIn, and there's one for YouTube. And so YouTube specifically, that one will be the exact concepts I told you today, with kind of the full explanation with some graphics and kind of walking you through the process. And Jay,
Hey.
I'll make sure your team gets free copies of all that stuff. No problem.
I love it. It's fun to be me sometimes. Thank you very, very much, guys. Understand this. See, you got to listen to the things that are going on here. That many people think that those with means and ability are the ones that are stingy, but you can hear the generosity in his voice. I mean, who sells anything for 99 cents? I mean, come on. Really? Seriously? And so now it's up to you, it's up to us to go out there and get the information that it is that we're after, so that we can go out there and create the cash flow that we absolutely know that our families deserve. So, Matt, let me ask you this final question. If you had to start over again
Hmm.
from absolute zero, knowing what you know now, tell the person who is listening to this, hoping to get started in real estate, or one of the unique things that I like is that your story is like the exact opposite of mine. Your story,
Right.
in my opinion, takes so much more faith. I mean, I had no choice. What was I gonna do?
Hmm.
You left a situation that was, dare I say, comfortable,
Right.
and most people, when they get comfortable, they're not willing to do it. But if you had to start all over again, tell us what you would do first and why.
That's a good question. So, if I was starting over in real estate tomorrow, had no experience, and really had no or very little resources to use, I think the thing I would really go for would be the wholesaling business. I think that's where I would start, and I would get some good training on it, obviously, to begin with. But here's really what I would do, and ready, fire, aim, right, Jay? And this is what you and I have talked about a few times. I would get out there and kick up the dirt as quick as you can in your market. Find out who else is wholesaling properties. Find out who the other investors are. It should be fairly easy to do. They want to be known by what they do. They want you to call them and buy their properties. So it should be easy to find, whether it's Craigslist or social media or real estate investors groups or whatever it is. Find the people that are really doing deals, right? And develop a relationship with them so that you can take their properties and market them on their behalf, essentially. And since you don't have any money and you don't have the experience and don't have the connections to get your own properties, leverage their properties. Okay. At the same time as you're doing that, start using low cost but high time, because that's what you'll have in the beginning. Start using some ways to develop a buyer's list, whether that's online or whether that's going to meetings and collecting cards at networking events or whatever it is. Start to develop a list of real investor buyers. Okay. And then when the time comes, and fairly quickly, if you've got the right source of properties and you're with real wholesalers that have quality deals and you have some real buyers on your list, you should be able to flip a property fairly quickly if you're working earnestly and you have the right team and the right system that you're working with. And that's how I would do it. I would start out flipping a property that I don't even own. I would do that, and however you got to do it to make sense, whether it's a double close or an assignment or whatever it is. There are ways to do that, and it all really boils down to you making the relationship with those two people, the people that have the access to the properties and the people that would buy them. Eventually, you can grow into finding those properties yourself and make an even bigger spread on those. But in the beginning, that's exactly where I'd start. I'd find someone who has properties. I'd find somebody who wants properties, and I'd hook them up with each other and make some money.
Absolutely. Hopefully, you're hearing again. For those of you who've been to the website, you know that we are always talking about practicing what you teach, and you can hear the practice in his voice and his conviction and what it is. And at the end of the day, note what you didn't hear him say. He did not say, we need to sit down and watch another episode of American Idol or So You Think You Can Dance. That was
Right.
not what he said. He said, there's something you must get up, go out and do. That means there's time away from the family. There's time away from maybe your friends are not seeing that movie on opening night. Whatever it is, it could be a little uncomfortable for you, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. And here's the final thought for this episode that I want you to grasp is I want you to grasp just the fact that real estate investing is not unique to any one person. It's not unique to Matt. It's not unique to me. It's not unique to anyone that you've met. What it comes down to is some of the same basic concepts that you've heard over and over and over again. And most importantly, moving at the speed of instruction. Matt today has given us some great instruction. Hopefully you go out there, take advantage of his website, get over to refreedom.com, download the stuff, figure out what it is that you need to make your business happen. And hopefully we will talk to you again soon. Matt, thanks for being here. We're glad that you're here, and hopefully we will talk to you as soon as well.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Talk to you soon. Bye, guys. Until next time.
Thank you for investing your time with Jay Massey and the Cash Flow Diary. When you have a moment, please visit iTunes and leave a positive comment about the show. And go now to our website, cashflowdiary.com, to take advantage of our free business building course, Cash Flow Foundation. Gain the knowledge, understanding, and skill that will teach you how to never need a job again. Until next time.